Welcome to a Monday night of racing at Woodbine Mohawk Park, the lovely metropolis of Campbellville, Ontario. Yes, you're right. Randy's sitting in the wrong seat tonight. I'll be doing the hosting gig here tonight. Chad's going to be upstairs calling the races tonight. And so we brought in, what I would consider to be a very, very astute young horseman. And he's going to take over my chair for the night. And that is going to be Mr. Ralphie, Nicholas Boyd. It's actually Nick Boyd, but every once in a while tonight, you probably are going to hear me use the word Ralphie. So we're cool with that?
We're cool with that. I think I've been called Ralphie by enough people throughout my life, and usually that's the common theme. So
there you go. Okay, well, first off, I just want to say thanks a lot for doing this,
Thanks
Nicky.
for having me on.
Really, really enjoy this, and tell us what's going on in the Nicky Boyd camp. I know Kawartha has just recently started back up again. You guys have had a couple of Saturday nights to get things going. So how's the season starting off for you?
Kind of like last year, Sam Fillion's dominating the driver's standings already, but it's went well. We had a nice turnout week one for Sire Stakes. There was a lot of rain, 12 races. They bet 70,000, which was a record handle for the last 10 years opening day, so that was great. Had a little bit of luck. I won with my own mare up there that I had been racing down here, Blew Me a Kiss. And other than that, we kind of struggled through some rain last week, managed to grab a couple wins on the card, and here we are. I'm in studio tonight with you.
Well, I'm going to throw a couple of names out you because I'm kind of curious myself how these guys are doing, and I'm sure there's quite a few fans that have watched these certain drivers driving a lot, when it was the Ontario Jockey Club and when it became, Woodbine Entertainment. So a couple of names I'm going to throw at you. Let me know how they're making out. Number one, we do see him once in a while, but how's Brownie making out? Doug Brown.
Brownie's doing well. He's raced a little bit. John McMillan was in town, announcer, kind of man of all trades from Rito. He was in town, so Brownie was there first week to drive for him. And Brownie was there last week. He had a winner on the card. Nice little colt that won down here in the winter. So I think Brownie's doing well.
Fantastic. Now, what about another name I'm going to throw at you, Reg Gassian?
Reg is there as well, still winning races. Raced a couple of his own, but in fine Reg
Healthy and
form.
happy?
Healthy, happy. Reads a book every week, so
Good
I think he's doing well.
And one other one of my more, also one of my biggest favorites too, Carmen High. Give me an update on Mr. Carmen High.
Mr. Carmen High was there. He was in qualifying action. And the first week, the trotter that he had made a break going into the first turn. And this past week, Carmen just powered to the front and didn't look back in his qualifier. So I think we'll see him in action this coming week.
And healthy and happy.
Healthy and happy.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice to hear. Great. We got some nice weather out there in case anybody wants to know about our weather. I know Chad kind of lightly touched on it, but it's 66 degrees out Fahrenheit. I'm going to stick with the Fahrenheit there. I'm not real too good at the Celsius just yet. And the other thing is too, the wind coming from the southeast at 6 miles per hour. So I don't think that's not going to be much of a factor out there tonight, Ralphie. We got the water truck out there going. What do you like nights like this when it's kind of sunny but a little bit overcast? We're kind of getting into that, not quite that warm kind of weather right now. It's like I said, 66 degrees. What's your thoughts on horses racing in this kind of weather?
I think this is the perfect weather to race in.
I agree.
I like that there's no wind, and I think the wind plays a huge factor, especially here with big long stretch. And I know racing here over the winter, I was driving a couple each week, and it seemed like every night was windy, Randy. Every night. And I think tonight the drivers will appreciate it.
Yeah.
They'll appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah, I agree as well, too. I mean, we got a dry track.
We do.
That's one thing drivers do appreciate is a dry track.
Absolutely.
We got to have that.
Oh, I mean, no one likes racing in the mud. I watched Thursday night, and the way the guys were covered in mud, I got thinking, this is no fun. And I think a lot of them said the same thing the next morning when I ran into them.
That ding you heard in your ear, that doesn't mean that the cake's ready. It means we're moving on. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so let's get into this night, this Monday night, and we're going to look at some replays. And that is going to be starting out in race number 1. So let's get this night going. Nicky Boyd. Going into race number 1, this is going to be our Ontario Sire Stakes Grassroots Leg 1. We're back to the Ontario Sire Stakes. So nice to see them back in town. Kind of an elevated purse structure this year too. We have been racing a lot of times for, you know, the $15,000, $18,000 purses. We're back to $25,000, and I was so glad to see that, because, you know, these horses, they put on a great show, and, you know, they seemed to me like $20,000 just wasn't quite enough for these purses, but back to $25,000. We're looking a lot better in here. So before I go into my picks, Mr. Boyd, what about race number one? What did you like in race number one? Who's your top pick?
My top pick is the 7, Not Passable. I'm sure Foxy Amy's going to take a lot of play there. She looks legitimate from last year, but I have questions around, you know, she missed the SBOA. She's added the hobbles back on. Her last flat line was April 25th. And I'm sure Paul McDonough, who's an excellent horseman, has, you know, been working on things. He's not bringing her here if he doesn't think she's ready, but I just think there's a lot of question marks. So I moved away from the horse that I thought was going to be the probable favorite as we hit post time.
And what makes you, like, why Not Passable? What makes you, I got her in for second, so I like her as well, but what makes you just like the, you know, the way she's been doing it?
She was impressive in her maiden, and then she faced tougher competition in the SBOA. You know, trotted along with them, obviously made the final, and I'd like to see that speed carry over, whether it was just from her following along. But I think she showed enough in that first maiden win to where I can say, Randy, that I think she's a legitimate player in this race, and I think she's going to offer a little bit of a price with Foxy Amy taking it all.
I agree with you. I think that she's definitely playable at a bit of a price too. The Foxy Amy, I also agree with that too. I mean, sometimes, you know, you'd like everything just to go smooth, Ralphie, but it doesn't always work that way. And right now, it looks like Paul's just kind of trying to figure her back out again, get her back on the right track. So tonight might not be a night there, even with the middle of the gate. It might end with the addition of the hobbles. It might not be a night that he just wants to, you know, cut her loose and go for him. I think he kind of wants to get her back going again. So I'm going to take a wait and see on Foxy Amy. I'm going to throw her in for third. My top play is going to be the 9 horse in here, PL Stevie. First start for the Team Christoforou in her last. This is a daughter of Muscle Mass out of the great PL Jill, one of the real nice ones. So let's take a look at this replay, Ralphie, and we can see Chris Jr. sitting kind of a loosely gapped second over. But I know you watched this replay too, so you give me what your thoughts on PL Stevie is.
She obviously has the breeding to turn into a really nice horse, and I think Greek drove her conservatively, I will say, in her first start, which, I mean, we can expect that. I thought along the last turn, Randy, he kind of seemed to just ease her through that turn.
Baby her a bit?
Baby her a bit, maybe you would say. He didn't necessarily keep, you know, rush her up onto Pat's back there for the cover. And, you know, down the lane, he was looking around at her, making sure she was trotting all right. So I liked the race. I just felt with the 9-hole and the way the Greek had driven her the first start there, I was going to take a pass tonight and maybe wait and see. But it wouldn't surprise me if she was to step up in this spot.
Yeah, the biggest thing I'm going by is the fact that so far she's been clean, and that's kind of one of the biggest things that I look for too with young horses. I want the clean approach, you know what I mean? Like right now, like I said, it's a bit of a conundrum for us all with Foxy Amy in this one. Throw me in a long shot in this race. I went to the 2 horse, I Believe in Angels, down in on the bottom. What about yourself?
I like the 2 horse. I include the 2 horse in my picks, but I like the 3 horse.
Good
Ivy Lynn. I think you're going to get a little bit of a price there. She raced on a very poor night the other night. Left out, was used twice, and you know, she had a good showing in that event. So I think JR can sneak her in there, especially from starting from the inside of the gate, get her placed away, and it could be favorable for her tonight.
Now we're going to have 2 horses that are coming back on a really short rotation tonight. What's your thoughts on how that's going to affect them? Ivy Lynn, and I think she's a Manalishi later on, 4-day rotation. What is your thoughts on that?
I think there you can see oftentimes a horse will come back and they'll be a lot sharper. It's kind of an extended training mile, or maybe a training mile where you went a little bit harder than you would in the week if you were racing on a regular rotation. So I'm not scared of that angle for either of those horses, and I've actually used both of those horses on my ticket.
Well, there you go. That's a nice way to look at it. So I think we're moving on. We're going to move on to race number 4, Luke. All right. So let's move on to race number 4, Nikki. And this is going to be the start of our pick 6. 20-cent pick 6 starting in race number 4. All you got to do is come up with the winners from races 4 to 9, and you are a pick 6 winner. Where do we go in here, Ralph?
I landed on Tricky McWicky on the top.
Me and myself. So you tell me why you like him.
I like Tricky McWicky because I was looking for something that might offer I think he might end up being the favorite, but I think a lot of people are going to jump on Armor Sealster, and I'm just not a fan of Armor Sealster. I think, people will allude to the fact that he won his last start at this level. I think a lot of his miles, he just seems to go along, follow along, grab checks for Gabby and Jeff, but I'm just personally not a fan, and if he beats me, I lose in my tickets, and I'm fine with that. I can handle that.
I like the stand you're taking, in that way. You kind of remind me a little bit of Rawless that way, too. You guys are both the same. If you believe in a horse, you don't care. You'll take that stand.
Yeah, I think you have to take a stand. I think Armor Sealster is going to take a lot of money. I think Tricky McWicky had a great first start back. Dougie left out, had to wrestle him, give him a little dental work to get him back into the 4 or 5 hole. Came out again first up, and, he was still going on at the end. So I think we can expect a better start, like even better start out of him second start. And like I said, I'm just not all that impressed with Armor Sealster, and I'm willing to lose on my ticket if he beats me.
Well, Armor Sealster got him in for third. Tricky McWicky also the way that I'm going, and I agree with you, Nikki. I mean, he'd qualified, had 2 weeks off, came into this race with the 9 hole, is parked every step of the mile, and keeps coming forward. You can see this on the end of it here for Dougie McNair. He's still moving forward. He's not going to be able to beat Eddie or Tyler Borth, but a great effort nonetheless. And we earlier on in his career when Dave Fry had him, he was one of them ones that was always coming fast on the end of it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, we could maybe even see that tactic as well. I mean, middle of the gate, doesn't seem to be a whole lot of gate speed in here, so maybe the way to race him would be from off.
Yeah, and I think that's that could potentially be it, but I think Dougie's got open possibilities there, especially from a starting spot, and I just like how he fits in this race. I like where he's going in this race, and yeah, I've moved away from Armor Sealster. I've got Eddie Hensley on the 2. I like the 2, and the 3 with Tyler Borth. I can see those horses being the ones that you might want to look towards.
Agreed. So, okay, let's move on. Race number 5. I think we're on next. Yes, we are. Okay, where we got, this is going to be the feature race of the night, Nick. Ontario Sire Stakes Gold. We've been waiting for one of these, purse of $140,000. 3-year-old trotting fillies. We get to see a couple of real good ones in here. So I'm going to go with the 3 horse up on top, but you tell me which way you went.
The 3 is legitimate horse in there, Randy, and I think it's going to be hard to sway anyone off her. When I was looking through the early pick 5, it looked fairly chalky, I guess you could say, and I felt like a lot of people are going to land on similar horses, and through the midsection of it, it was hard to find horses that you could maybe move off of the favorite or what should be the prohibitive favorites to get onto some long shot, at least from my viewpoint. So my opinion was that although Green Glider is the horse to beat,
the it girl right now,
and the it one, last week she offered you value because Mona Lee, she was the favorite, and rightfully so. Mona Lee, she's earned that, but I felt like this was a race that I had 2 options. You could either go with Green Glider or maybe try to find something where you could beat her. And I noted after Mona Lee's first start, I thought she was a little weak on the end of it, just finishing up. And I mean, she was well in hand. And Blake even alluded to that. And that's such a nice filly. And James obviously changed his tactics last week. She raced well, couldn't get by Green Glider. And, Bobby, I think Bobby kind of alluded to, he didn't get in the spot he wanted to, but that filly just kept going. So it's going to be a big task for Mona Lee, but I think James can get Green Glider spotted in front of her if he wants to, although it wouldn't surprise me if Trevor maybe moved Green Glider to the front. But I went away from Green Glider. I think she's a legitimate play. I love the way Roxy Hart closed up for Travis Cullen. He was way back off of it. Now, I'm hoping to see him a little bit forwardly placed this week, and maybe he can be on Mona Lee's back. But I really like the way that Tyler Borth's horse raced last week too, Sprite Sealster. So I think there's some multiple plays that you could go to, and I've went with the 1, 5, and the 9 as possibles underneath there.
So you're going 1, 5, and 9. Yeah, I mean I'm using all those as well, and I like the fact that you're taking you're going to give a chance to Mona Lisa to kind of rebound. Because I think you're right. I think that Green Glider, the way she raced last week, I think that she's going to be taking the most of the support tonight, and you could maybe get some kind of a price on Mona Lisa, 2 to 1. you'd never think you were going to get it on her before.
No, and she,
You know?
she showed she trotted 52 last year as a 2-year-old, and so she's got that license to be there, and it'd be nice to see her come around. I think it's going to be a great race, and like I said, I think Travis Cullen could offer you some value on Roxy Hart as well.
I agree with you. I got her in on the bottom of mine. Big wheels on the end of it for her. If they over race this in any way whatsoever, she could really capitalize. But the other way too, like you were saying too, if Travis can just keep her a little bit closer, not quite as far back, you know, she's going to make them know she was in there.
Yeah, I think you're going to see both Eric Nadeau horses moving forward off the gate, and I would expect that Tyler Borth will be moving forward with his. And like I said, the X factor could be what Trevor decides to do. He's kind of race green glider from off the pace, and Bobby did too. But I could see her moving to the front early here, and that could throw a wrench into what Mona Leash has to do. But I expect Roxy Hart to be on her back tonight, maybe, and we could see an interesting race to the wire.
Ben, great. It looks like it's going to set up to be a beautiful one. I love the thoughts there, Ralphie. Okay, so let's move on to race number 6. And we're on the trot. Non-winners at 10,000. Last 5 starts. This is an interesting little field here, Doc. This is Jimmy Gillespie did a great job on this one. You know, this is a well put together field, in my opinion, anyway. I'm going to go out to the 8 horse on this one. I like the way that she's raced different times. I love the way that she raced in her last. Which way did you end up going?
I ended up jumping on the 3, What About Elmo, coming out of Paul Reed's barn for Tyler Jones. It's Tyler's only drive on the card tonight, and Tyler shows up every night, so I'm not taking that as, he's coming into town just for one drive. But, I don't think there's a lot of pace in this race. And I think the pace is towards the inside with Truffles 2. And I think if you look up Truffles 2 when James has driven him, you're going to see that he's won about 6 of the 8 or 9 races. James gets along with him well. But he's jumping back up in class tonight, and he got beaten. I just felt like maybe he shouldn't have got beat last week. We're going to see him move back up. I expect him to take a lot of money. I expect Trevor's horse from the rail to take a lot of money. And I really like the way What About Elmo raced last week, Randy. And I think he's coming back around. I think he offers you some good value in a race that I expect him to be forwardly placed. I think he'll be in the mix. I went to another horse in there as well. I love Bobby's horse. I'm interested to see how Bobby approaches it. Mm-hmm. She had the rail last week. He was back. Great brush. Bobby moved her out wide. She was flying. I have her on my ticket for second, but I also like Jody's horse, the 5, Southwind Domino. I think he offers some early speed in a race that doesn't offer a lot of speed, and I think you could see him from that post position, finding a good spot for that horse and being there at the end. What
about Elmo? I agree with you on him there. I thought that last week there was one of his, obviously one of his best starts since he's come back. But yeah, I'm going to go with PL Rainbow Dash in here. I mean, this is a big step up for her. Non-winners of 3 into these salty old racehorses. But I've always looked at it as, if any of these older horses show any weakness on the end of it and she's in a good spot, she doesn't know that she's racing older horses. She can still get the job done. So let's take a look coming from way off the pace. This is the 8 horse tonight, PL Rainbow Dash. Did have the rail in that last start. And to tell you the truth, Nick, I myself like the outside, the 8 hole, a little bit better than the rail. Not a big fan of the rail on this track. I find that it pushes back against you a lot. You're out there a lot more than I am now. Am I right on that?
Oh, you're absolutely correct. And I mean, I'm not out there as much as these guys are, but especially with trotters, it's easy to see the rail, the 2 hole. You can look at the stats, and they'll tell you that they're not the favorable spot. So I do think Bobby has a better place to start from. She's a legitimate mare. Now, she's racing these because she's not exactly keen on winning. Mm-hmm. So, you said she's moving out of non-winners 3 into bunch of salty older horses, and that's what she's going to have to face because she's got a lot of money made. Just she doesn't like to necessarily put her nose out there first, but it would not surprise me if she got there. I can see her offering a price for you a little bit. I mean, she'll be a mid-range price, but I think this is kind of an open board. I think you've got a lot of possibilities, a lot of ways you could go. I just happened to land on What About Elmo because I like how this race could set up for him.
And he was really, when you think about it, he was one of the big 3 for 3-year-old trotting colts last year. It'd be Paquette, probably, would be the number 1. And then I can't remember who else was in there too as well. I'm trying to think which one it is now. He raced in the Graduate against him. Pretty well all those horses that he had to race. Willow Time. Yep. That's who I was thinking. Willow Time. And there was another good one too. Willow Time. And the one that Etzel had, did he have Willow Time or
Kismet?
Breather? No, not Kismet, sire stake wise. They had those two real nice 2-year-olds. Breather had one, and Etzel had the other one. One was Willow Time, and I can't remember the other one's name. But anyway, I always put What About Elmo as kind of the big 3, the big 4 in there. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen with him coming out as starting off as a 4-year-old. Because really, it's tough for any 4-year-old, whether it be filly or colt, because you got to, all of a sudden now you're not as protected racing against your own age group. Now you're kind of in an open category where you got to pick up a Southwind Domino at 6 years of age, or an all gas, no brakes at 6 years of age with, almost 300,000 made and 28 lifetime wins, as opposed to when Elmo with 5 lifetime wins right now, So, I like the way that you're going that. I got Elmo in for fourth, on the bottom of my ticket. But I like the fact that, again, you're prepared to take a stand on a horse that really showed great improvement in his last start and brings the back class with it.
Yeah, I think he does. And, like you can see on the bottom of his lines there, he was qualified down at Spring Garden Ranch where Paul winters, and then he traveled up, and it's boom, right into the graduate. And Paquette's on a whole other level.
Killer.
This thing is a gorilla of a horse, and I think that's a tall task for anyone shipping, and I know lots of people do it. I just liked, I like what I saw out of Elmo last week, and I think he has a license to improve this start.
I've brought it up many times too. Horse has to ship into new quarters, and they got to get used to it. It's the same as a person. They get jet lag. If they go to a hotel, they can't sleep good the first couple of nights because it's a strange bed, strange noises. Horses are more or less the same, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're looking some improvement on What About Elmo. So let's move on. And we're going to talk a little bit about race 7 here, another Ontario Sire Stakes grassroots. And we have a scratch of the one horse in this race. TH Monica won't be with us tonight. That moves my top pick right down into the rail with James McDonald. She's going to get a bridle change tonight. Ocean View Rumors going to go from open to a blind bridle. Going to focus her up a little bit more in here. Now, I think that the 4-horse Teller's Choice was probably going to take a lot of support in here. I mean, this is a filly that had done a lot of her racing in the gold, coming out of the Determination barn. We've seen Determination come back very, very strong so far this year. But I'm going to throw her in for second. Ocean View Rumors going to be my top pick. What about you, Ralph?
I landed out on Ocean View Rumors as well, Randy. I wasn't thrilled with the morning line. I think the morning line was, a little high for her, but I'm not a person that makes the morning line, so who am I to argue with them? But, if you were to get anywhere close to the morning line, I think you're laughing. I really like Ocean View Rumors. I don't like that she moves into the rail. The 2 would have been a nicer starting spot. Obviously, the 4 is going to take a lot, not only as, it's a Determination horse. She's moving out of the SBOA. There's going to be people that bet the angle of, LPR jumping on there. Tyler Jones has been handling her, and obviously Tyler drives for them as well. But I'm sure people will move off of, or jump to that angle. But it kind of looks like it's up to those 2. And I just think when it comes down to it, Ocean View Rumors might offer you the better value in that race.
Yeah, and I mean, I really think with Ocean View Rumors, too, a person has to really pay close attention to that 2-year-old form. I mean, 9 starts, 7 times a winner, and then 2/3, and a mark of 55. I mean, those are great 2-year-old season stats, wouldn't you say, Nikki?
They're great stats, and if you look at the way she's came back from this, her 3-year-old year, she's kind of every week she's had a start. This is the first time she's not going to race back on 7 days. A little bit extra. I'm sure Shane's, been able to prime her up over here. I see him often in at the track in the morning. So I expect a big effort out of Ocean View Rumors. And I think James jumped off of the 9-horse Green Man's Joy, who Green Man's Joy comes in with great form for Dan Legacy. And I just, that kind of speaks to me there.
I agree. Okay, now on Ocean View Rumors, quickly, what's your thoughts on the bridle change? Open to blind, drawing the rail. That's a little dicey, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it just says that he wants her to be a little bit more forwardly placed.
Beautiful.
And I have no problem with that. She's got to deal with the rail now, so.
Okay, let's move on to race number 9. And here we go. Preferred 2, Trot. This is an interesting race. Boy, I'll tell you, there's a lot of horses to me that you don't normally see their faces in this race. You know, I mean, maybe Spartan General was in it at one time, kind of got away from it, now moving back in again. We're going to talk a little about him in a few seconds, Ralph. But right now, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on my top pick in here, because he's a horse that has consistently raced at this level before, and is really, if he hasn't beat them, he showed where he could beat them, and that to me, Ghostly Casper. Am I looking at this wrong, or is Ghostly Casper found himself a preferred field that he really should like, more to his liking than as having to face Osceola, Gaines Hanover, Logan Park, on and on and on. He doesn't have to face any of these ones tonight.
No, he doesn't, and it's certainly a really nice preferred for him. Obviously, preferred two. As you said, we're missing those horses. Ghostly Casper's a nice horse in his own right. He's one of those horses where he's almost made too much money, where he has to face those horses. I mean, it's a great problem to have, but if you look, you can look down the page and you go, wow, other horses in this race have made more money than him this year. And I know Ghostly's only had 6 starts, but it's just the product of him being a really, really nice horse and having to face those types. I have him on my ticket, but I have him in for 4th. It certainly wouldn't surprise me if he could win. I suspect he'll go off as the favorite, or at least a co-favorite, Randy. And again, won't shock me. Tyler Borth gets along with this horse. He had him down at the Hambo, but I moved away from him. I'm on to the 6 Spartan General that we said, and another horse that I actually like the other Baillargeon horse in there, Sid the Kid. Dougie's driving him. Dougie's back on this week. Dougie got him out of there and sat on Paquette's back a couple times. Did not beat him, but we talked about how good of a horse we feel Paquette is. So, I think Sid the Kid, it wouldn't surprise me if he went out there and bottomed this field out either.
No. I mean, definitely a nice bunch in here. Definitely nice 1-2 punch of Benny Bergeron, Sid the Kid, and Ghostly Casper. But let's take a look at the horse that you like in here, Spartan General. Let's take a look at that replay of last week. Now, Ralphie, 8 years old, went right to a lifetime mark in this last one. Have you ever seen Spartan General any better than what he is right now?
Right now, Spartan General is as good as we could have, expected. And, if you look at the way Greek's driving him, obviously there was some issues last year. He's only started 6 times, $3,000, 10 starts, 5 wins this year. But you watch Greek drive down the lane here. It's a bugger. He's looking down. He's checking, make sure he's trotting well. This horse is with well in hand. Greek's motionless, so,
I think we're looking at a showboater.
You might be.
Yes. I think the horse
Greeky?
and the driver both are showboating.
Greek?
They look so good out there.
Well, they did look very well. Travis Cullen's horse in there too, Nazy. He's been racing superb, and I expect that they'll kind of be like in that race where Greek will be on Travis's back, and we'll see similar in here. But like I said, I'm interested to see if Dougie uses the tactics with Sid the Kid, where he maybe just tries to bottom them out. I know he's got a little weak on the end of it, but I feel like this is maybe a spot that he would try them. There is no Paquette. I guess the stablemate Ghostly Casper could be another candidate, be out there chopping it out. But, I'll stick with Spartan General. And
quickly, we're going to move on, but on Paquette, I find a lot of Paquette's ability is just kind of raw power. He's a big, strong horse. It seems like Jody can race him anywhere. He doesn't get tired at the end of the mile. You know what I mean? Taking away Spartan General's last season, aren't we seeing the same thing with Spartan General? Just a big, powerful horse that knows no end to the end of the mile?
He does. He's always moving forward at the end. I don't know whether it's by design or whether he doesn't. Greek has been taking him back, taking him off. Maybe he has no tactical speed at the gate, but I'd expect him to race him similar now. And maybe that's, like I said, last year with only 6 starts, it's a way that he's protecting him from whatever ailed him last year.
Okay, some different views going on out there. Now we're going to take a quick look at Randy's early pick 5. Nick, you can kind of go through this if you want. We're going to have it up on the screen there. There's a screen there if you want. So in race number 1 there, I had a tough time in the early pick 5. Only one single for me, and that's tough for me. I had to go pretty tough, looking for a lot of value in this one. So in race number 1, I go Foxy Amy, Not Passable, and PL Stevie, looking for some value on the outside. PL Stevie will be my top pick in there, and you went Not Passable, so I am using your top pick.
Yeah. Looking at that ticket, Randy, I know we both discussed Foxy Amy. Not, we have question marks around there. On my ticket, I just used the 3 Ivy Lynn, which was a long shot I liked in the 7, because I think you give up value taking the favorite. Mm-hmm. We don't like the favorite. We admit that she could win. I think on that ticket, you would give up a little bit of value and that's just why I left Foxy Amy off mine. I think I give up value. If she beats me, I lose.
Yeah, but you're out the first leg.
Well, that's okay. If I'm out the first leg, I've got 4 more legs to look at the next one.
You got too much money, my friend. I got to stay in that first leg. I got to be in there. Okay, so let's move on to race. Where were we going, Luke? Okay, so we're going to look back on... race 5. Here we go. Okay. So the Ontario Sire Stakes Gold. Let's break this one down as best we can in here. Nikki, so I'm going Green Glider. You are going to go Mona Lisa. Top picks, right?
Mona Lisa's my top pick.
Give me a name in here that you would say, give me a name in here that's not your bottom pick. Go one deeper. Give me your 5th top horse in this race, because we're going to see your tickets later on down the. We're seeing it right now. 1, 5, 3, and 9. You go. So give me one that you didn't use, but maybe you were kind of on the fence.
I went with the 7, Exquisite Taste. It's one of the Eric Nadeau, Louis Philippe Waugh owned horses. Louis opted to go with the 2 horse, who looked great and made a break last week while sitting in the 2-hole, or sorry, 2 weeks ago in her elimination while sitting in the 2-hole, and actually looked like she had some trot there. But I went with Exquisite Taste. I think Louis drove her last week. JR jumps on this week, and she was trotting. She was right in with the group of them. I don't think she was going by, obviously, but she was right there, and I expect she might just keep improving for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that she looks okay in there as well. And what about, I'll throw one other one at you, though, too. Just what about the 8-horse Lil Sweet? I mean, this is our super final champion last year, $250,000 made, kind of come back what I would consider to be, maybe just a little bit flat. Not bad. It's not that she's racing horrible. She got beat 3 in her first race, and then she only got beat 2 3/4 in her last race. She draws the outside again. What do you think with Little Sweet? Are we going to see her involved tonight, or are they just going to look to kind of trip her out, you think, and try to pick up what they can on the end of it, or what?
Yeah, I could see Dougie changing tactics, because honestly, last week, and again, she might round into form. I have faith Susie will have her rounding into form, but last week watching her, she was right in the mix with all those horses we were talking about. She was there. She could have trotted through the wire, and I'm not saying she didn't trot. She just maybe came up a little flatter than you would hope for. And I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach on this. I think this is a pretty stout field here with the 8-hole. I don't necessarily love that for her in here. And, she could get into that top 5. I hope for Susie and the connection she does, but I just don't feel that that's going to be the effort we're going to see from her tonight.
I'm going to take a wait and see as well, because the way I look at it there, I mean, we can always kind of catch up to Little Sweet down the road when she starts to kind of show that power again, because between Mona Lisa and Green Glider, just those 2, the rest of these fillies, they're going to have to be right on their game to beat these 2, and these 2 are going to have to be on their game to beat the rest of them. I just don't know if Little Sweet is on her game right now.
Yeah, I don't think she's tuned into that game yet. And like you said, down the road, it could come. We're obviously going to see this division play out. I think right now, as you alluded to, we've got Mona Lisa and Green Glider, and it looks like Green Glider's the one that has the step out front. But, you've got a horse like Roxy Hart knocking on the door. I think Little Sweet would really have to step up in a spot like this.
Yeah, I can agree as well. So the bell just goes, and we're going to move on now to moving down the 401, Ralphie. What's our thoughts on the Kamloops Classic draw? It just recently come out, so there it is right now. We got Poseidon, Sealster with the rail, Lou's World with the 2-hole, who I thought raced incredibly well down in London. Irvin Hanover, Brew Hanover, who's like the it horse up here right now. You know where I'm kind of, and I really wish that Clever Cody hadn't drew the outside. I really do think that he's a top kind of a half-mile track horse, and I know he's not racing great right now, but I think at some point Moore is going to have this guy back firing again. But on this field right now, where do you go?
I'm going on the 4, Irvin Hanover. And I mean, obviously we're not seeing who's driving,
Right.
whatnot, but I think Irvin Hanover, you're going to start to hear from him. I expect him to be out there forwardly placed, and I just, you know, if I had to make a right off the draw, I'm going with Irvin Hanover.
Yeah, I haven't used Brew Hanover too many times in front, and every time he makes me look bad. I'm actually leaning towards going that way. But anyway, let's move on to the mares part of this, the Forest City. Purse of $50,000. You know, real nice class in here as well. You know, I would have to say that Odds on Platinum, another Moore horse, is going to look good in here. And there's a few other ones that I like as well. But right now, Mr. Boyd, the darling of Woodbine is the 1-horse Caviar and Crackers. Give me your thoughts on the Forest City.
Caviar and Crackers has been racing fantastic for Ed and Ashley. It's really neat to see. I remember when they first came out there, I was racing my mare in the same class as her. I wish we went up the ranks together, but I think the story was they purchased her. She was tough. She'd make breaks, and she looks fantastic. I'm wondering if this is her first ever start on a half-mile, Randy, and the rail is kind of interesting. Again, I would go with 4-horse here. I like Odds on Platinum. She's a classy filly, and she's danced those dances, and you know, she has half-mile experience. I could see her. And
winner of the Juravinsky on a half-mile.
Yeah.
Oh, not the Juravinsky. Yeah, the Margaret Juravinsky.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, obviously, you know, is going to be able to go with them. And I would guess that, well, I know for a fact that Moore stabled at Shamrock. That's half-mile track. She does all of her training on a half-mile track.
She does.
Yeah, so she should be okay.
I would think so.
Good to go. Cool. All right. Okay, so let's do a little look at the stats and standings. I always love this day on the Monday because we get to see who's hot and moving up and down on these standings. So right now, James McDonald, second time in a week for him. But Bobby McClure in there with 8 wins as well. Louis Philippe Waugh with 7 wins. Doug McNair in there with 5 wins. But I don't think Dougie had a full week here as well. He might have missed a couple days. Look at that winning percentage, 27.8. Does any of this surprise you, Nikki?
James actually surprises me. James, I don't know if anyone's been paying attention, but I don't know. James doesn't like the mud, so it was a fairly rainy week last week, and to see James up there, I mean, we expect it. King James, right?
Yeah.
He's the top dog there, but yeah, traditionally noticing James on muddy nights hasn't had his best stuff.
Okay, well, you know, hopefully he started to bring it tonight, or hopefully he doesn't see any rain because he's got a couple stake races to race with tonight. Okay, so the trainer side, Carmen Osiello, first time that I've seen him up on the up on top. But we kind of noticed last week his barn was starting to come around. Jody Cullen right in there you know, it seems like every week now. Greg McNair has come on, Victor Putty on. What's your thoughts on these 4?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we've come to expect, right? Jody's having a fantastic year. I think she's leading the nation. Carmen traditionally has been, you know, one of the top 3 trainers here. Greg is obviously, you know, he trains a stake barn and young horses, and they're starting to get going again. And Vic had a nice win the other night, 47 in a piece with that.
You did much driving for Victor? See, I never did much driving for Victor.
I've never driven a horse for
Me
Victor.
neither. I didn't drive much driving, but he seems like he'd be an easy kind of going guy to drive for. Seems like he's an awful easy kind of going guy.
Yeah, from all accounts. I mean, Victor seems to enjoy it, and he races all over the country. So I think
he's doing what he wants to do.
He's doing what he wants to do.
There you go. Okay, so let's move on to plays of the night. And this is the part where you got to take a back seat, Ralphie, because the Hall of Famer gets to go first because of age only. Has nothing to do with ability or looks. So we're going to start with race number 1. That's going to be PL Stevie for Team Christopherou. I'm actually looking Ralphie had a Christoforou early double using Market Banker in race number 2 up on top as well. Beat the favorite's going to be Deborah, way from the outside, but I think that she's in a good spot, and it's grassroots time. We got to start getting those points made. Waples Watch going to be PL Rainbow Dash. Love the fire that she had in on the end of it. Tough ass, but I think that we can get a price on her. And my all-in's going to be Ghostly Casper, and you're going to have to wait around till race number 9 for that one. So that's going to be my plays of the night. What else do we have, producer Luke? There we go. We got a couple of other resident handicappers in here. Johnny Rallis, Ocean View Rumors. He also likes her. Ralphie in race number 7. Best bet for him. Ghislaine, my buddy Sam. I'm also putting this one up on top. May Surprise. I agree with that one. I think he could get a good trip in here, and the answer could have him in a good spot. Garnet Barnspitdale going HF Pan Shadow as a spot play, but you're going to have to stick around to race number 11 for that one. So I think that that's just about got us ready to go. We're on the 0 minutes to post. I haven't heard any ding, 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 so I think we did a good job, Nikki. Now all we got to do is stick around and wait for the first race. So the first race is going to be coming at you real soon, and stick around. Me and Nick Boyd will be back after the post parade to break this one down. Best of luck is how you see tonight.